NCAA announced last week it's expanding both the men's and women's basketball championships from 68 to 76 teams starting this coming season. 24 teams will play in the first 2 days of the tournament. The March Madness opening round, 6 games both days. That will whittle the field down to 64, after which the bracket will progress as it always has. And joining us to talk a little bit more about that is Yahoo Sports' Ross Dellinger. Ross, there has been talk of this for quite some time, of expanding the NCAA tournament. Why is it happening now?
Yeah, Dave, it's been years and years. I think it was 2 years ago. I was sitting in a lobby at the Conference Commissioners Association meeting, and all the conference commissioners came out of a meeting and said, "Hey, Ross, they just showed on the screen a display of a 76-team basketball tournament." So for 2 years, we've been kind of marching toward this sort of path. You know, everybody is asking, which you did, Dave, which is why? Why are we expanding at all, right? Don't fix what's not broken. The NCAA tournament's one of the coolest and best things in sports. And I think it has to do with not money, actually, but access. Right? The 5 power conferences, the Big Ten, the SEC, the ACC, the Big 12, and the Big East want more access for their teams. Right now, in the athlete compensation era, there's a lot of money being spent on basketball teams and rosters, right? Upwards of $10 million, maybe even to $20 million. So everybody wants some kind of access for that increased investment. And this gives us, 8 more teams, probably most of them going to the Power 5, right? If you look back several years, Dave, you'll see that the bubble teams usually are from the Power 5 conferences. So I'm guessing the 8 new teams, most of them year in and year out, will come from the Power 5.
Yeah, it's a little strange to me. I mean, it does seem like, for whatever reason, it's not all that popular with fans, not all that popular with some media members, although sometimes you just feel like maybe those voices are just being amplified. There will probably be a lot of fans who, if their team is one of those teams that's on the bubble and makes it in, will be pleased with it. But I think one thing that does stand out in all this, Ross, is the unanimity with which the commissioners back this. I mean, Dan Gavin, who oversees basketball, was saying every conference commissioner was in favor of this. So how do they kind of bridge that gap? Like, what ultimately do you think is the messaging, or is it just the kind of thing where you get into it and people will say, you know what, this is fun, Tuesday and Wednesday are even better days than they used to be?
Yeah, what do they often say? The angriest people are the loudest people, yes. And us media members are quite loud at times, especially when we're angry. So I've certainly seen many of my colleagues be pretty loud against expansion. But you're right, the conference commissioners, not only that, but the men's basketball and the women's basketball selection committees, because both tournaments are expanding. The selection committees voted unanimously for this to happen, and I mentioned earlier, it's not just about money, right? That it's really about access, but there is money involved, of course, right? $300 million in new revenue is coming to the NCAA over the 6-year contract, the remaining contract with Warner Brothers Discovery in CBS. So $50 million every year in additional money for these programs. And again, eight new teams, right? And we will, as you mentioned, Dave, Tuesday and Wednesdays will be quite busy with this new opening round, they're calling it. Right now we have the first 4. So you have 4 games. We will have 12 games in the new bracket, and there'll be 3 games played on Tuesday in 6 games played on Tuesday and 6 games played on Wednesday, 3 each day at different sites. So Dayton will keep one of the sites, and then they'll go west for another site that hasn't been determined yet, but it'll be a West Coast site that'll host 6 games, 3 games on each of those days. So there'll be a lot of action going on Tuesday and Wednesday. And a lot of folks are asking who will play in those games, right? It'll be just like it is now, the first 4, right? 2 of the games are small conference champions who got the AQ bid, again, playing against one another. And 2 of the games are at-large teams, mainly from the power conferences. And I think it will be the same split for the new 8 games, right? So it'll basically be split down the middle. You'll have 13, 14 seeds playing one another, and then you'll have 10, 11, 12 seeds, the at-large teams, playing one another.
I do want to ask you a little bit. You were touching on the television contract, half dozen or so years left on that. There was some hint in one of the stories that you did for Yahoo about maybe a changing revenue distribution model as well. For people who don't totally understand how the NCAA tournament works, you have units that you get for winning games, and those units go to your conference. There was some talk of maybe there would be an incremental increase in the value of those units the further along that you got in the tournament, which would be a little bit different than it's been historically. Help us understand maybe some of the in-the-weeds stuff that's out there about this tournament that might be changing about this tournament that fans aren't totally aware of.
Look at you, Dave. You're picking up lines in my stories, in the weeds lines,
I parse
too.
you. No one parses Ross Dellinger literature like I do.
Good to know that somebody's reading the in the weeds stuff. I love some of this in the weeds stuff. You're right. You win a game in the tournament, you get a unit. Your conference at least gets a unit payment from the NCAA. You make the tournament in general, you get a unit payment. Your conference does, and your conference splits up that money as they see fit. How much is a unit payment? Usually, it's been around $350,000 per unit annually. But, and this is where it gets a little confusing, the units are paid over 6 years, so it's $350,000 times 6. So a lot of times these units are close to $2 million. So that's one of the big changes with expansion, Dave, is that you have more units now. In these small conference champions who used to play a 1, 2, and 3 seed in the first round and usually get beat and thus don't get a unit, now they'll play one another and there'll be a unit up for grabs. So that's a lot of money for these small conferences. So for them, that's kind of what got them on board with this expansion. Now you're talking about potential changes that haven't been passed yet, but that could be passed and have certainly been thought about for future years, which is changing the unit amounts to where it goes up and increases stair step as you get past each round, right? So, for instance, a Sweet 16 win would be more than a first round win, right? Right now, they're all basically even. Now, something new last year, Dave, that a lot of people don't know is the final teams who get to the Final Four and win, and then the team who wins the national championship, they don't get units until last year. That was passed, so we had some extra units there. But yeah, money is always a factor, right? And I think we'll see in the future, as I hinted in that story, we will probably see a change to these units where the amount escalates the further you go in the round, in the tournament.